Morning, morning, rise and shine. What time is it now? We are now 7:44. I'm on my turbo trainer, been on it for 20 minutes now. And you guys must be awake by now, right? I'm assuming. If not, sorry for disturbing you. I know I do my live videos quite early, but I like to get out of the way. And that's when I do my activities. So sorry about that. In terms of turbo trainer and what I want to talk about today, I thought I've been on my turbo trainer live for at least 3 or 4 sessions now, so I thought I'd better explain what you need to do in terms of getting yourself sorted with a turbo trainer and what are the benefits and why is it good. Right, hold on, I'm going to turn up the resistance because this is too easy. Right, so in terms of my setup, and what I might do is do a different video, like a proper video. I might have to think about it because these videos I never think about it. It's unscripted, 100%. I've not scripted it. I'm just talking as I go along, and that's why I just ramble, and that's why I'm not saying I'm going to be 5 minutes. My kind of top limit now is 10 minutes because it has to be, because that's when I have to change it up and I get out the saddle, as you know. So in terms of a turbo trainer setup, so first the main benefit. So the main benefit is you can cycle indoors. It's just like cycling outdoors, but you're indoors. So you can be watching TV and doing your session. So it's not an exercise bike as such, because it's a proper bike. You're using your proper bike. So if you've got a bike, then this is just easy. If you don't have a bike, then but you want to do some sort of cycling indoors, then you got 2 options. You either get, well, you got 3 options actually. You get like one of those traditional exercise bikes you see in the gym, or you get a proper spin bike, which is essentially a mock-up of the essential parts of like a road bike. So they tend to be modelled on a road bike, with the drops and the way the flat bar is, and then you've got the drops as well, and the saddle height and stuff tends to be quite high, quite aggressive riding style. Whereas your traditional exercise bikes in the gym tend to be modelled more like a mountain bike hybrid. So the seat tends to be lower, you tend to be, like I am right now, upright. So you got those 2 types of options that are not proper bikes, so you can't then ride them outside. There's only one purpose, it's indoor. Or you can buy yourself, which I think might be cheaper actually, is buy yourself a cheap bike off eBay. You can start off with a hybrid. I would personally, if I was you, would go for a road bike or cyclocross like I have. So you have that aggressive drops essentially, because that's really good to mix it up. So when you first starting off your turbo trainer, it's going to be quite gentle, easy, that's fine. But 3-4 months later, when you're proper into it and you're getting a bit more advanced and your fitness levels increase and you can do the climbs or the high resistance stuff, then you're going to want the drops, that aggressive kind of stance, and go like Armstrong did, without the drugs obviously, and go for it basically. So in terms of setting it up, once you've got a bike, or if you've got an indoor bike, it's fine, you don't need to do anything else. But if, like me, you have an outdoor bike, so you want to do some outdoor cycling, that's why I'm suggesting thinking about getting a bike if you don't have one already, because then even if you'll do your indoor cycling, but then you can go outdoors as well when the weather's better, if that's what you want to do. So in terms of setting up indoors with a turbo trainer, you got your bike, and then what you need to buy is the actual turbo trainer set, which essentially is like a frame which attaches to your back wheel. So there's different types. So the one I have is kind of like the lower end of the scale, and I bought mine just literally in the week of that first lockdown. So if you remember, Boris Johnson on, I think it was like the 19th or something, said, people who can work from home, please work from home. And then by that I think that was a Monday night or something, and then by the Thursday he said, okay, everyone work from home. So in those kind of in between that first announcement and second, that's when I bought my turbo trainer. And then literally as soon as the proper lockdown was announced, that same turbo trainer just doubled in price, and then it just went out of stock. But now I think there should be back in stock now. And what I can do, if it helps, I'll put a link to the one I purchased, just to give you an idea. You don't need to purchase that one. You know, I'm not endorsing anything here. It's just the one I use. I mean, I'm not an expert on turbo trainers. What you should do is look at reviews if you want to get a bit technical and stuff. I didn't get technical. I just wanted one, so I just bought one that was available. No thought process involved, and I've just got lucky, so I thought I'd just share it. So I'll put a link in the mentioned links area of my link tree in my bio, so you can have a look, right? But essentially, why is my timer? Okay, Google, turn the timer off. She's just random.
Sure. For how long?
I see. Now you're gonna listen to her not listening to me. Okay, Google, turn off all alarms. Ah, that worked. Because usually we have a battle. Like, she'll go off, and then I have to ask her to turn off, and then she'll say, okay, you know, how long do you want the next alarm for? And it's just 5 minutes later, we're nowhere. Anyway, it worked this time. So in terms of your turbo trainer, it attaches to your back wheel, or sometimes the more expensive ones anyway. I don't know if that's what you want to go for, but the most expensive ones, you need to take the back wheel off, and essentially that becomes your gear mechanism. It controls your entire gear mechanism. Some of them are digital, so you can do different settings, you can do different routes, so that helps you with your kind of program without having to think. So me, it's pretty straightforward. Mine just attaches to my back wheel. There's like a roller that touches my back wheel, that almost makes it as if I'm riding on a road, so it gives that resistance, because otherwise it's just freewheeling and there's no resistance at all. So that kind of roller that attaches to or touches and presses against the back wheel, that provides like the road resistance, so it feels like I'm riding on the road. And then I just use my gears to add resistance, you see. So literally, if I'm out of the saddle, I'll go all the way to top gear, as if I'm climbing a hill, and then when I'm just flat like this, I'll just put the resistance down, go down notches, and that's it. And in terms of what I'm actually doing, so I do a 40-minute session, and it's always the same session. I don't have time to change it up. I probably should, but it's working for me at the moment, so I haven't decided to change it up yet. But I do 40-minute sessions, and every 5 minutes I alternate between in the saddle at low resistance and out the saddle at high resistance. And during that session, I always stay within the low intensity heart beats per minute range. So my heart rate zone is always within the low intensity. So when you're starting off, like I keep saying, take it slow. Don't try and go like Lance Armstrong and go for it and get your heart rate up to like 190 and then get a headache, because that's what you guys, I'm sure I've experienced it. Everyone has, where you just go like anything and you keep doing it and you go to like 190, 192, and then afterwards you just feel worse than when you started. And the reason being is because you're just putting your body into too much stress. That's why it's so important to monitor your heart rate, because that is the best indicator of how your body is responding. So when you go to 190, your body is in that fight or flight mode. It thinks it's running away from like a lion. So imagine the stress level you get. So that means chemicals, right? Certain chemicals are pumping around your body, causing stress, and it has an impact. Because if you do that, especially like if you do it even 3 times, 4 times a week at that high intensity, and I know I'm battling against some methodologies here who kind of ask you to subscribe to it, but when you start doing that, your body's in so much stress that you're gonna get ill. And if you're getting more than 1 or 2 or 3 colds or even flu type symptoms a year, putting COVID aside obviously, but if you're getting that, if you're in that category, and you know you don't ordinarily have a suppressed immune system, and it's only started when you've started your fitness regime, then you're putting your body under too much stress. You need to go down a notch. You need to start doing low intensity more often, and then just do a sprinkling of high intensity. And it's all counterintuitive, because we've been taught by so many people that you just need to go hard every time. Just go fast, hard, just do that and that's it, you're fine. But no, everyone's skipping the foundational stuff, which is the low and slow stuff, which is the part where you're actually doing all all the kind of movement ideas are coming in there in terms of what type of form you need to have. That's when you have that space to think. So right now, I know I'm talking to you, but I'm activating my glutes, which you won't know and you probably don't care about, but it's important because especially for lower body type activities like running and cycling especially, right, what happens a lot is most people, especially if they have office jobs like I do, or are working from home and sitting down, I'm standing up nowadays, but if you're sitting down, then your hamstrings become dominant and your glutes just fall asleep, right? So someone like me, if you're in a similar position, then you need to actively, consciously activate your glutes, because if your hamstrings are dominant, then when you're cycling or running, that takes over, right? And your hamstrings are arguably a smaller set of muscles than your glutes. Really, it should be your glute should be the leader in those types of activities, right? And your hamstrings just play a supporting act. So where your hamstrings become dominant, they're in a role they're not designed for, and it causes injuries, and it actually lowers your performance because your glute's such a bigger muscle, and if you're not activating them, you're not going to get that race kind of pace that you want, and you're not going to be able to sustain it. You're just going to get injured or get a cramp or whatever. So actively activating your glutes, especially if you're sitting down a lot and you can only think about those types of kind of movements and activations when you're at the low intensity range, and that's where you're kind of building your fitness really, and the foundation to get you to whatever pace you want to get to. I mean, if you don't want to ever do high intensity, that's fine. I mean, I do recommend at least maybe once a week. It doesn't have to be long. It can even be 3 minutes. I mean, there was a study, right, that if you do, as long as you're doing it low intensity throughout the week, so low intensity you could do every day. That's why I suggest doing low intensity a lot more, because you could do it every day without injury. Making sure you stay within your maximum heart rate for the low intensity range, and it will vary from person to person. You have to calculate that, and I mentioned it in other videos. So you can do that every day, but then you can even just once a week, as long as you're doing low intensity as well. So you can't just do high intensity once a week. That's not work. You need to do the other stuff. So if you're doing then high intensity training once a week, where your heart rate is going to spike, even doing it for like 3 or like less, even if it's just 10 minutes, that's enough, and that will get you to the desired fitness level, will get you that extra pump, so to speak, because you need a mixture. You can't just be doing low intensity week in, week out, month in, month out, year long. You need to have some sort of high intensity, because different muscles activate, different parts of your muscle systems activate in the low intensity and high intensity. Right, I'm kind of treading into territory that I don't know much about. This is what I've read, so do your own research obviously, but what I've read, there are different muscles that activate during the low intensity, high intensity, and obviously, as you know this, different kind of respiratory responses. So during low intensity, it's aerobic, so it's just you normal breathing, and that's another thing, you learn how to breathe as well during your low intensity, and that's so important obviously. And then when you're in a high intensity range, it tends to be anaerobic, so you're kind of taking deep breaths, but when you're pushing really hard, you kind of hold your breath, don't you? And you go like those 5-10 steps and then you breathe. Whereas when you're doing your aerobic, it's just normal breathing. And you should be able to talk just like this. Yeah, low intensity. If you're struggling to talk while you're doing that activity, then you're just going too fast. Slow down. Anyway, okay, so I thought I just wanted to update you on the turbo trainer because I haven't done that yet. So that's what I tend to do. Like I said, it's a 40-minute set for me, 5-minute intervals between in the saddle, out of the saddle, never above my low intensity heart rate during the week. Yeah, so my high intensity of the weekend, so Saturday, Sunday is my high intensity training. So as you know, Saturday tends to be my longer ride at high intensity, and then Sunday tends to be my high intensity running. Anyway, that's all I wanted to cover. So guys, have a brilliant day. I'll give you an update a bit later. Got to finish off this session, jump in the shower, then take my son to school, and then work starts. Got my to-do list sorted for today, or for the week really, in my head. Obviously that to-do list is going to change like yours probably does, minute by minute, but it's kind of set. I did it last night, had to, because I knew there's so much going on. Just had to get down on paper, and that helped so much, because I was actually stressed out of it last night. I must say, I was like, how am I going to get all these moving parts with, some of them have to be done at the same time simultaneously by the team. How is that just going to happen? So once I got it down on the to-do list, I can see, you know what, this is manageable. Because sometimes when you just got it in your head and they're floating around, it's hard to get perspective. So just writing it down, well, I'm into my tech, so I put it on my OneNote. If you don't use OneNote, you need to use it. It syncs across all your devices. But anyway, so I put it into OneNote and printed it out, and then it's ready. So I just need to tick it off as I go through the week. But anyway, so that's my to-do list, and that's my update. So peace out, guys, and keep moving. Bye.